It's gonna be the very best day of your life. It's gonna be, yeah. Do you believe it? It's gonna be the very best day of your life.
Yeah. You was picking out your fit, plan to decorate your crib. You was about to get it lit. I know. Yeah. Oh, what? Yeah. You look at me like I'm a threat, but really I'm just a blessing. This is what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. They know I'm the truth. On some that'll change your perspective. I know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. Walk around stressing, not realizing life is a blessing. Don't know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. And we don't get no but your flexing. All of your antics and presents. We know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. I can see it in your eyes, yeah, it's codependence. When you spend your time, see you're lacking vision. When you compromise, got no independence. You see me living life and you get offended. Yeah, you get offended. But come on to the other side. I am the light so you cannot hide. Trying to fit in, got you dead inside. Tried to kill me but I cannot die, yeah. I'm alive and you cannot take it. I'm on the rise and this crown I'm taking. On the winning side and there's no mistaking. No, you cannot fake this. You look at me like I'm a threat, but really I'm just a blessing. This is what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. They know I'm the truth. On some that'll change your perspective. I know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. Walk around stressing, not realizing life is a blessing. Don't know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. And we don't get no but your flexing. All of your antics and presents. We know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. Where your real friends at? Somebody tell me where your real friends at? Where your real friends at? I know you don't feel that. Yeah. But come on to the other side. I am the light so you cannot hide. Trying to fit in, got you dead inside. Tried to kill me but I cannot die, yeah. I'm alive and you cannot take it. I'm on the rise and this crown I'm taking. On the winning side and there's no mistaking. No, you cannot fake this. You look at me like I'm a threat, but really I'm just a blessing. This is what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. They know I'm the truth. On some that'll change your perspective. I know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. Walk around stressing, not realizing life is a blessing.
This is pain, this is youth, This is all the hush hush thoughts in your room. This is for the first time out with your crew. Getting f***ed up, find joy in the bruise. Eyes with the power to seduce. Hand me the aux, we could cruise. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Many will cross oceans to find its shores, but its borders can be found within. Its name is heralded by all nations and tongues, though most never recognize its face in their lives. They welcome and wish to see its benefits, yet resist and refuse to walk out its precepts. Though many attempt to destroy or hide its reality in their futile effort for unwarranted control, the truth of freedom will outlast any of the dissipating lies that seek to blot out its existence. Freedom is not the erasure of all boundaries, but rather the embracing of those that are healthy and true. It is not the denial or blame of consequence, but rather the right and pathway into full responsibility of every outcome in your life. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
You give me new life. You give me new life.
It's time and I'm giving you what you're asking for. Future told no time for digging up the past, bruh. Talking about all the people that didn't last. In scarcity, it's time for using what you have. Just be grateful, the strong is always the last. Things are quick, so settle for we could pass. People's choices are hardly the ones chosen. I'm stepping out of the grave, that's your omen. Yeah, yeah, flower child, inflorescent, warrior, feel my presence, sagacity, pressure, from dead broke, going affluent, underdog, made a past of it, on top of this shit, what's happening, born in darkness, came to life, fit in the masses, eternal life.
You give me new life. You give me new life. You give me new life. You give me new life. Oh, you give me new life. You give me new life. You give me new life.
They locked me out, outsider. Felt the pressure in the room when the boy beside him. Despite disguises, they can see the difference. Cubic don't shine the same in the diamond's presence. Them lies don't hold the same when the prophet's present. Impossible to tame when the locks are missing. The blocks are missing, the box is missing. Reach your hand to find a switch, but I'm wired different. You can think we work the same, but a profit different. You can think we preach the same, but the cloth is different. Sort of a maverick, I don't fit you boys' equations, I resist the average. Y'all playing Madden, I run the real plays, I just make it happen. Got the daughter saying, who would've thunk of it? Life gave me the assist, made a dunk of it. I'm the one the papers chasing, so it's dumb rich. Truth's #1 supply, you can come get it.
You give me new life. 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 Oh, you give me new life.
Let's run it back. I think I got one more.
You give me new life.
wasting time waiting, thinking I'ma fall behind. I'm the future, baby, I ain't even seen my prime. Culture spinning on my axis, so I'm never late. You just left to try to catch the waves that I create, but this ain't surfing, no, these waters for the boat. You never catch it from just talking about it, Lord knows. Got them nodding from the bars I wrote a decade ago. That's how you know when it's the truth, 'cause it'll never get old. And I know you getting tired of the lies when they catch you in the vulnerable times, then they robbing you blind. I know they look like sheep in the eyes, but they're wolves in the mind. Take your innocence to hang you to dry. If you question anything that they try, I speak from a confident mind and there's tears in your eyes. And it make you wanna go, and it make me wanna go on them, hang them from their feet. I just do it with my speech.
You give me new life. 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 Oh, you give me new life.
This is pain, this is youth. This is all the hush hush thoughts in your room. This is for the first time out with your crew. Getting f***ed up, find joy in the bruise. Eyes with the power to seduce. Hand me the aux, we could cruise. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Many will cross oceans to find its shores, but its borders can be found within. Its name is heralded by all nations and tongues, though most never recognize its face in their lives. They welcome and wish to see its benefits, yet resist and refuse to walk out its precepts. Though many attempt to destroy or hide its reality in their futile effort for unwarranted control, the truth of freedom will outlast any of the dissipating lies that seek to blot out its existence. Freedom is not the erasure of all boundaries, but rather the embracing of those that are healthy and true. It is not the denial or blame of consequence, but rather the right and pathway into full responsibility of every outcome in your life. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
Today I'm gonna live my dreams and accept how God created me. I won't let confusion, frustration, insecurity stop me. So I've made up in my mind that I'll be all that I'm meant to be, yeah. And there's nothing in this world that I'd let block me. I gotta get what's mine, yeah, yeah. No hater can stop my favor. It's not determined by you anyway. And I've been waiting for this moment in my life, so I ain't worried about what hate has to say. And please believe me, you don't have to bet on me, cause I'll bet on me any day. I gotta get what's mine. Yeah, yeah. I gotta get what's mine. I gotta get what's meant for me. I gotta get what's mine. Yeah, yeah. I gotta get what's mine. 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 Yeah, yeah. I gotta get what's mine. I gotta get it, go get it. I gotta get what's mine. Yeah, yeah. I gotta get what's mine. 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 I gotta get what's mine.
I'm giving it, I'm focused. I've got my mind right, the same focus. Cause I never knew what I had until you came in, you worked it out. Said I'm strong and I'm moving on. I'm thankful cause you showed me that my deepest fear was got my failure, but that I'm powerful beyond measure. I thought, who was I to be brilliant and change the world? I'm free now of my enemies to change the world.
Yeah, I believe in this season that we'll rise above all our seasons, flying high for a lifetime. So y'all move over cause it's high time. Believe me, we going somewhere. The ground's fit good and we ain't staying here. Forget reminiscing and grieving, cause we exist for this reason, to bring back hope to our daughters, make more men of our brothers. This legacy to our fathers, that security to our mothers, to spread more light to the nations, pursue all peace with all patience, presenting God-like lifestyles. Y'all thought wrong, but it's right now. Donate millions to children, secure our future from billions. Culture shifting how you're living. Don't try to keep up, man, we different. We gon' live how we want to. Kids don't eat like they want to. Trillion dimensions through our visions. Cooking up culture in our kitchen. Celebrating forever.
This is pain, this is youth. This is all the hush hush thoughts in your room. This is for the first time out with your crew. Getting f***ed up, find joy in the bruise. Eyes with the power to seduce. Hand me the aux, we could cruise. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Many will cross oceans to find its shores, but its borders can be found within. Its name is heralded by all nations and tongues, though most never recognize its face in their lives. They welcome and wish to see its benefits, yet resist and refuse to walk out its precepts. Though many attempt to destroy or hide its reality in their futile effort for unwarranted control, the truth of freedom will outlast any of the dissipating lies that seek to blot out its existence. Freedom is not the erasure of all boundaries, but rather the embracing of those that are healthy and true. It is not the denial or blame of consequence, but rather the right and pathway into full responsibility of every outcome in your life. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a a life full of fulfillment.
They're treating you mean, they're killing your dreams, depleting your steam. They're jealous of us, they're burying your potential's too much. If you would just lift up yourself, believe in you, there's really nothing else that they could ever do. They hiding the truth, they following you, cause you got the jewel. But that is enough, it's time to step up by realizing you're more than they could ever handle. I pray that you're hearing me. You're perfect as you really are. The world will see just own who you are. You are, you are beautiful. Own who you are. You are, you are powerful. Own who you are. You are, you are special. Own who you are. You are royal.
Hourglass, all class, maybe wanna spend some time with you. Girl, you know what you mean to me. I believe you were made for me. Girl, you bad and you should own it. It's time to let the world know it. Cause what's a star to the world if it hides its light from the world below it? I done seen them competing with you, non-stop. You ain't wanna see them do it, steady measuring but never measuring up to it. They could never do it, but friends soon turn to enemies. Don't let them take what's meant to be. Just make that thing your energy. Just own who you are, just
Own who you are. You are, you are beautiful. Own who you are. You are, you are powerful. Own who you are. You are special. Own who you are. You are royal. Own who you are. You are beautiful. Own who you are. You are powerful. Own who you are. You are special. Own who you are. You are royal.
This is pain, this is youth. This is all the hush hush thoughts in your room. This is for the first time out with your crew. Getting fucked up, find joy in the bruise. Eyes with the power to seduce. Hand me the aux, we could cruise. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose.
Such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Many will cross oceans to find its shores, but its borders can be found within. Its name is heralded by all nations and tongues, though most never recognize its face in their lives. They welcome and wish to see its benefits, yet resist and refuse to walk out its precepts. Though many attempt to destroy or hide its reality in their futile effort for unwarranted control, the truth of freedom will outlast any of the dissipating lies that seek to blot out its existence. Freedom is not the erasure of all boundaries, but rather the embracing of those that are healthy and true. It is not the denial or blame of consequence, but rather the right and pathway into full responsibility of every outcome in your life. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
Welcome to The Way, an Iexist event. I want to say on behalf of everyone here that we're honored to have you join us for today's training and session. As a coaching and counsel company, we've been serving others since 2018, And we know that your growth, success, and fulfillment is vital, not only to yourself, but to everyone around you. And it's at the core of our heart and mission here that everyone possible be pressed and empowered to lead a life that is full of fulfillment. Thank you so much for accompanying us on this experience. We're looking forward to see how this will impact the many of you. Share this with your family and friends, all those that you love, to grant them the opportunity to partner with you as you become all that you are. Enjoy.
Oh my goodness. It's good to be back. This is The Way, the Business and Leadership Edition this time. I'll warn everybody up front. All right. So I was having a conversation with myself on whether I was going to make this particular talk the Business and Leadership Edition or whether it was going to be the Spiritual Edition. I decided, obviously, that it would be the Business and Leadership Edition, but it's going to be spiritual, highly spiritual. I'm going to be very honest with you up front, not spooky, but spiritual. So here's the reason. The reason being is that, and you may have heard me say this before in one of the previous presentations. I believe it was Tony Robbins. I heard this in passing one day, maybe something online or some clip or something like that. I remember him saying that business is a spiritual game. All right. We can take care of our health. We can take care of our wealth, certain parts of our lives. If you don't get around to your spiritual foundation and well-being, there's no way to have success that has longevity and true effectiveness in your life and in the life of others. So we have to have the spiritual piece tagged along. There's a very specific reason, even today, that I'm going to be covering a lot of spiritual content in the Business and Leadership Edition, because today I want to talk to you about the subject of promotion. More specifically, we're going to talk about elevation. So we all have this desire to grow, to progress, to progress in ways that would show clearly to ourselves, to the world around us, even, which is not more important than the first I mentioned, which we want to know within ourselves that we are being elevated, that we aren't just going through life, smoothly, but without progression, right? After a while, there's a lot of us that would love to be elevated, promoted on jobs, elevated, promoted, just in different aspects of our lives. We just want to get better and better and better. All right. I don't need to go into a long explanation of what it feels like. But most of you that have been here for a long time or for a decent amount of time know that a part of the soul satisfaction through life is that we be promoted, that we be elevated in this life. Actually, furthermore, we all love stories of promotion, of elevation, whether it's through movies, whether it's through biblical text or something like that. The idea that somebody can go from nothing to something is inspiring. It's something to, I don't even want to say it's something to aspire to, but it's inspiring in and of itself. We love the hero stories, and even those, especially those that start off with the unlikely hero, the unlikely one to ever be in the position that they end up being in. All right. But what's happening over the course of time? Why do we love these stories. The gardener turned general. All right. The kid turned king. Things like that. Why do we love that? Because the idea of promotion, elevation are things that satisfy the soul. Even in the idea of us being a company that's here to press and empower you for a life full of fulfillment. Again, the vision statement is that we become all that we are. All right. Even that word become has an underlying tone of promotion, elevation. You're becoming, right? A seed even to a tree. At some point, right, it started off as something that needed to be fed, needed to be planted, needed to be, and by fed, obviously watered, nurtured, things like that, kept from impending danger, whether animals or anything else, right? But what does it turn into eventually? It's elevated in time to become a source of shade, a source of oxygen, a source, if it's a fruit tree, of food, sustenance to the world around itself. All right. So again, today I'll be talking to you about elevation. And the truth is, it's time for some of you to be elevated. And I'm super excited about telling you that and layering some conversation behind it, because not only do I want you to be promoted, to be elevated, God does. By the way, this is a message that was given to me for you, and I'm just super excited to share it. All right. So I mentioned God a second ago. Here's why this had to be a very spiritual conversation. Biblically speaking, promotion comes from the Lord. Promotion truly only comes from God. It's something that we have to make ourselves not only aware of, but be accepting of. There's a very big reason why spirituality must tie even into your business endeavors and things like that, because we don't realize how much success truly relies not on the outward, right? This is why we love the stories of the kid turned king, etc. Because it wasn't the outward predicament that made the person a king. True business, if you've been in business for any amount of time, you know it's not built with outward spectacle, tactic. It is all, your success is all predicated upon what we'll consider the intangibles. I actually I wanted to do an audio podcast, and that was literally going to be the name of it, The Intangibles, right? Because what is most valuable in this world, on this planet, what makes a person king, what turns them from kid to king, what turns them from gardener to general, is what's developed on the inside. Now I have to ask myself, if these are intangible attributes that are causing me to rise in life, number one, what are they? Where do they come from? One more time, true success, it's not built on what you physically have. It's built on internal intangibles. Okay. So we need to explore what it is that we need to be elevated in this life. Promotion truly does come from God. Promotion, truthfully, true promotion is spiritual in at its conception. Okay. Starts on the inside. Simple way to say it. So here's my first statement, and it's a very important one. Here's what you need to know. Not only does promotion come from God, but here's the second statement. God is not trying to give you anything. I can't say, I won't say, I've never said the words, God wants to give you something. But even if I did say them, however long ago I said them, maybe the context was wrong. But today, if I said that to you, I would have a particular, understanding of those words. That's probably different than maybe a lot of you have. But truthfully, hear me, promotion comes from God. We always view promotion as gaining more. All right. If you're faithful over a few things, I will make you ruler over much. OK, so that clearly sounds like I started with little. I gained more of whatever that is. Started with a little audience. I gained a bigger audience. Started with a little money. Promotion, elevation came. I got a lot of money. All right. But here's how I need to tweak your understanding of promotion first. God is not trying to give you anything. Those aren't bad words. I'm not condemning anybody that says the words, God is trying to give you something. God's trying to give you a husband. God's trying to give you a home. God's trying to give you peace. God's trying to elevate you and give you something. All right. Not making a mockery of those words or even disagreeing. But if you're saying those words, this is what the understanding has to be. Yet again, God's not trying to give you something. Here's the key. He's trying to make you something. God's not trying to give you something. He's trying to make you into something. You need to know that so that you can start this journey of elevation, of promotion, understanding that the world is abundant. Whatever you end up being supplied with was always there. God supplied it before you got here. Whatever the thing is. So there's not a supply issue on this planet. As many billions of people that are here, and I'm already hearing some of you in your private time, man, I wish I had a mentor. Man, I wish I had this. Why doesn't God give me this? Give me this. There's supply enough. Believe me, every generation, there's not a lack of leadership, actually. I know that a lot of people like to get on the kick of lack, right? But this world is fully stocked with everything you need and has been since you've been here. So the issue is not that God's trying to give you anything. He's trying to make you the person who can have the thing. First principle of elevation. I need to be made into the person that can handle whatever it is I'm asking for. Okay. Or whatever it is I may perceive that I need, or whatever the thing. Okay. You need to know this so that we can start with the awareness of an abundance mindset. There's nothing that you actually lack. Even if it's not in hand, you've already been supplied. You just need to be made. So what's promotion? Promotion is being made. It's not being given anything. Please hear me. I need to be made into the man that can handle this, that can have this, whatever the thing is. Okay. So I'm going to read something to you in a second here. But before we get into keys to promotion, because I'm going to be giving you, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 of those 9. I don't know. We'll see how many I get to. I don't want to make this too long. And that's why we have the nation anyway. All right. But I'm going to read something to you in a second. But I want you to go with me on this idea. You can never become a master of life without first becoming a master of patterns. Okay. Pattern recognition. How to start and end patterns. Most of you don't know it, but some of you are like, man, I really feel like I'm caught in a generational curse. And, you know, you think it's some toxic demon in the background pursuing you and all these things. And truly, you're caught in a generational pattern. What some of you are calling curses are just patterns. But because you have not become masters at pattern recognition, you don't realize I'm only doing what I was taught to do, what I was shown to do. And it's just repeating in my day, my generation, my time. And it's why I have the same result as so many behind me. Because I'm doing nothing different. Okay. So much accountability and responsibility is flooding in to souls at this point. All right. Why? Because now we're dealing with things that can make you. Okay. So I don't have a bunch of time to go over generational patterns or pattern recognition, things like that. But again, you can't master life if you don't master patterns. 1,000,000%. Okay. What's one pattern I want to talk about today? Everybody's always talking about how great minds think alike. And that's probably because we like to assume that we are the great mind. Man, that's some great potato salad. Well, great minds think alike. I don't know. Whatever the thing is, right? Something simple. But you want me to tell you the truth? Small minds think alike too. Poverty's minds think alike. Small is a spirit. It's an attitude. It's a disposition. We're talking a little bit about pattern recognition. Okay. You can go anywhere. I can go anywhere in this country and predict the outcome of, and when I say that, hear me, I'm not talking about according to God or according to what he wants or something like that, or according to what's possible. But you can definitely predict the outcome according to what's being patterned. Okay. This is why I oftentimes in coaching like to remind people that you're not that different. we have a need for individuality. It's very true that we all have our own thumbprints, things like that, right? Like, you are uniquely you, by the way. There is no other you. There will never be another you. Okay. That's God's gift of individuality to us. But the pattern that you're in is the same. I'm telling you, it's the same somewhere. This is why I never get really tied into sometimes people's pitches that they make. I'm the most important guy to ever exist. I am the greatest to ever do this. You know why? Because great minds do think alike. You have to think about it this way. If you can even categorize what a great mind is, that means more than one person has it. If you can categorize what a small mind is, that means more than one person has it. If you can categorize what a poverty mindset is, that means more than one person has it. So I can go anywhere in this country, in this world, by way of pattern recognition. I know where you're going. Because, yeah, it's true that great minds think alike, but I'm telling you, all small minds think alike. 1,000%. They have the same ways. And so the problem, I'm going to do this podcast probably. It's going to be called You're Not That Special. Again, hear me. You are special. You're unique. Okay. You have your own thumbprint. There's none like you, in a sense of saying there will never be another Bryan. There will never be another each of you that's in this room. Okay. At the same time, the type of special where you think you aren't operating within some pattern that's gone before you, it's insane to think that way. That's going to get me. I'm trying not to take a rabbit trail right now because I want to exhaust that point, but I'm not going to. Okay. Small minds think alike. I want to read you something about a particular person. This is Paul in the Bible. Okay. I told you this is going to be very spiritual. I warned you, but if you can stay in here and you can listen, trust me, your whole life will change, your business, all these things. Right. I'm going to give you new patterns. I'm going to give you elevation keys. All right. So this is Philippians 3. It's in the Bible again. And I'm going to read up unto a particular point. So it says this really quickly. Finally, my brothers and sisters, I'm starting from verse 1. Rejoice in the Lord. To write this again is no trouble to me, and it is a safeguard for you. Beware of the dogs. Beware of the evil workers. Beware of those who mutilate the flesh. For we are the circumcision, the ones who worship by the Spirit of God. Exalt in Christ Jesus and do not rely on human credentials, though mine too are significant. If someone thinks he has good reason to put confidence in human credentials, I have more. I was circumcised on the 8th day from the people of Israel and the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews. I was top dog. Is what he's saying. And he's not done. I lived according to the law as a Pharisee. In my zeal for God, I persecuted the church. According to the righteousness stipulated in the law, I was blameless. Listen to him. According to the law, I was blameless. Okay. But these assets I have come to regard as liabilities because of Christ. More than that, I now regard all things as liabilities compared to the far greater value of knowing Christ Jesus, my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things. Indeed, I regard them as dung, that I may gain Christ and be found in him, not because I have my own righteousness derived from the law, but because I have the righteousness that comes by way of Christ's faithfulness, a righteousness from God that is in fact based on Christ's faithfulness. I love this. My aim is to know him, to experience the power of his resurrection, to share in his sufferings, and to be like him in his death, and so somehow to attain to the resurrection from the dead. Okay. I don't need all of that. Let's read that in one more translation. That was the New English translation. I'm not going to read all of it, but hear this part. So verse 3, for we who are born again have been reborn from above, spiritually transformed, renewed, set apart for his purpose, and are the true circumcision, who worship in the spirit of God and glory and take pride and exult in Christ Jesus and place no confidence in what we have or who we are. We place no confidence in what we have and who we are. Okay. In the flesh, though I myself might have some grounds for confidence in the flesh, if I were pursuing salvation by works. If anyone thinks that he has reason to be confident in the flesh, that is, in his own efforts to achieve salvation, I have far more. Circumcised when I was 8 days old, of the nation of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews. Again, he's saying he's top dog all over again. This says an exemplary Hebrew, as to the observance of the law, a Pharisee, as to my zeal for Jewish tradition, a persecutor of the church, and as to righteousness, supposed right living. I love this translation. Supposed right living. Jesus. It's a new phrase. A persecutor of the church, and as to the righteous, supposed right living, which my fellow Jews believe is in the law, I prove myself blameless. But whatever former things were gains to me, as I thought then, these things once regarded as advancements in merit, I have come to consider as loss, absolutely worthless, for the sake of Christ and the purpose which he has given my life. So again, let's focus in on verse 7 real quick. But whatever former things were gains to me, as I thought then, these things I have come to consider as loss. These things. So this is a very interesting passage, because he's considering all of these merits, all of these accomplishments as worthless in pursuit of Christ. All right. But I'm going to tie that into this whole idea of being elevated. So before Paul's name was Paul, it was Saul. So he was talking about his Saul days. When I was Saul, I took high value in the fact that I was a Hebrew of Hebrews, that I was a Pharisee among Pharisees. I was highly learned as far as the observance of the law. In my practice, I was blameless. He said, but all of these things I count as worthless today for the pursuit and the knowledge of Christ. Okay. Why am I reading this to you? These were the Saul days, and We're saying small minds think alike. But now we have to qualify what small is, because small is relative. All right. Some of you are like, Bryan, you don't understand. I just made $1 million last month. It's nothing small about me or my mentality or something like that. All right. Small is relative because some of you are doing better than others and don't know that a spirit of small still has you. You have to understand, to God, that's how we're measuring this thing. To God, Saul thought small. He was a small man, not because of potential. Obviously, God reforms his entire life. But again, to God, Saul thought small, who would later become Paul. All right. So much so that he changed his name, gave him a whole new identity, a whole new purpose, shift his life completely. What changed specifically? All he's saying is, in essence, at a certain point in my life, even in the religious realm, my pursuits were all external. And I gave them all up to play the inward game. He started to realize that what was truly valuable in life were all of the intangibles. Okay. So I was playing an external game is essentially what Paul was saying. How do you know that? Because he placed value in what others viewed as righteous. He placed value in what others viewed as big. But to God, Saul thought small. And if any one of us ever wants to truly turn the corner, and I want you to think about this, for as long, I promise you that we would have never heard of Paul had he not given up small. Yet again, God changes his name, gives him a new nature. Okay. His focus, his intention changed from the external to the internal. Okay. He began his spiritual life. Bryan, how can you say that about a man who was a Pharisee among Pharisees? How can you say that about a man who was legally perfect? Right. And I'm talking about laws that Jewish law, things that were given by God, things like that. OK, so I'm just saying that there's a religious spin to this. OK, how can you say he began his spiritual life? Because for all of his doing, for all of his acting, for all of his pursuing, he was building what was of the flesh. He says it plainly here. Okay. To God, Saul thought small until he gave that up. All right. One more time. How did he give that up? He started pursuing things of the spirit. Okay. The intangibles, the things that really set us apart as human beings. I want to say some things right now. Maybe I'll say it. Me, I've learned to value the things of the spirit, because the intangibles are what make an individual the most he or she can be. So he stopped pursuing degrees and started pursuing, per his own words, Christ. But how am I using it? How are we using that for this conversation, for this business conversation and leadership conversation? He stopped the pursuit of external things and started going inside. Okay. Here's why you need to know that. Because until you place value as leaders, as owners, right? Even in churches, church leaders, business leaders, political leaders, whatever the thing is, until we place value on what's inside, to God, you're thinking small. I promise you. And please hear me. This is promotion. This is elevation. Okay. Listen, you have to give up what's small in order to gravitate to or engraft into your life, what's big. The idea scripturally is you can't put new wine in old wineskins. You got to give up one for the other. You got to die to live. There's an exchange that has to happen. So this is why. And so I'm being careful about this because, see, Paul's like, I had to lose this and this and this. And so that scares most people. Listen, I'm going to be very honest with you. 99% of people I probably have ever coached or come across in my life personally, it's hard for a man to turn around from this game. I'm being super honest with you. Once they start this external game, and you know why? Because it works. There's validation. There's money. Okay. You think he did all that for nothing? Became a Pharisee of Pharisees. He was a Hebrew of Hebrews. You think he was like, I'm going to do all this and it's not going to create some type of result in my life? It does. 100%. There's some actual devil worshipers somewhere. They ain't doing that for no reason. There's something that they believe they're benefiting from that action. Okay. So I'm not saying never. You will probably hardly ever see a human, turn away. So man or woman, turn away from that game. I also want to say, how do you know that not only was this a small game to God, we've already outlined that, but this was a game of pride that was built on building your flesh, because he had to be knocked off his high horse. Literally. Y'all go read the text. Okay. Literally had to be knocked off a horse in order for him to come to himself. We'll talk a little bit about that in the future. This is really all I'm going to say about Saul to Paul. But again, in God's mind, Saul thought small. This is an elevation. We want to get you to the point of actual results, right? Had he never fallen off his horse, we would have never heard about him. And there's a very specific reason. I'm trying to decide whether I want to say it now or not, right? I don't want to give you too many keys in the beginning, because we got to talk about what small is and what it looks like practically before we get to some keys. All right. But once he gave up small and started valuing the things of God, which are the intangibles, God started giving him what he gave all of his representatives, keys. I'll give you the keys to the kingdom. My heart, my focus, I want you to stop focusing on car keys and start getting spiritual keys. real spiritual authority. Okay. That denotes authority, that denotes knowledge, revelation, understanding, all these things. Okay. Keys. God want to give you keys. Okay. Somebody's going to persecute me and say, I thought God didn't want to give you anything. God want to give you keys. Okay. So let's talk about very quickly. I'm going to prove to you that all small minds think alike. All of them. I'll one more time reiterate that small is a spirit. Big is a spirit. If you can have an excellent spirit, you can have a small one too. Period. Okay. Really quickly. And I actually have notes for this. Small minds, all of them, make what is an issue of development an issue of deservingness. All small minds make what is really an issue of development an issue of deservingness. Okay. So all small minds think they deserve everything. Well, I deserve this. I deserve that. Why don't I have spouse? Why don't I have home like so-and-so yet? Why don't I have whatever? I deserve the same thing. Here's what you got to understand. Number one, that's called entitlement. But also, again, let me help you. God ain't trying to give you anything. He's trying to make you something. So deservingness is not the thing, right? God reigns on the good and the evil alike, right? It doesn't matter how much legal living you do. There are certain things that are not going to happen for you until you're made into the person that can handle the particular thing. So a fleshly pursuit, what it does is make you think you have to be deserving of a particular thing. But truthfully, we all have the same intrinsic value. I'm not worth more than Dane, who's sitting to my left. Okay. I'm not worth more than you. I'm not worth more than anybody in this room. Has nothing to do with that. So when you make life's issues of deservingness, it creates entitlement in you. Listen, I've had people, I'm telling you, small is the same everywhere. I've had people say to me before, to my face, this was somebody who, you know, is more like a sister. Okay. Like a sister. So, you know, probably one of the few people that could say this to me and not get a ego bruising. Okay. But literally said, I don't understand. I don't understand. I do all things right. Why does it seem like you get ahead and I don't? Every small mind makes what is an issue of development an issue of deservingness. You need to be developed in order to advance. It has nothing to do with whether you deserve it or not. I don't care how much you abstain from physical violence or anything like that, or whatever could be detrimental to yourself and others and things like that. It does not, it's half of what you could want in terms of elevation and promotion is not coming because of deservingness. Okay. Again, we all have the same intrinsic value. Okay. God doesn't make bad things. He doesn't make, people that don't have the capacity or the potential to become something, right? It's not about deservingness. It's development. Okay. I won't get too far on a kick on that. But the jealousy, the entitlement that comes from, I feel like I deserve it because she wasn't even as good as me. Why she get to have this and all this other stuff? We didn't have the same grades. I got all A's and she got 12 D's throughout her high school career. Why is she advancing? Haven't you realized that that's a lot of times the pattern in this world? How come the C students, sometimes the F students become the masters at life? You end up working for the C student. Why is that? Okay. The entitlement. This also creates an amount of what we'll say is just excuses. All right. Like you start making excuses for yourself and things like that. Well, I'm just too real for everybody. That's all. That's why my business hasn't grown, because I know I deserve it. So I'm too much. There's nobody that can handle the truth. All right. Small minds think alike. 2, I'm not going to give you too much because I need to save a lot of this for the nation anyway. This is a very good one, a very big one. Small minds make what is an issue of power or true power an issue of perception. Small minds are the minds you talk to when they're trying to advise you. You come to them and you've seen they've made a little bit of money and all these things. And one of the first things they always tell you is, well, Bryan, you just got to play the perception game. It's all about, and here's like sorry to mock anybody, but you know, it gets real deep. It's all about how they perceive you. They have to perceive you as powerful. That's what's making you powerful. Small minds think alike. To play the perception game is to give up true power. I know what I'm telling you, because it's an external game. Now I got to put the proper outfitting on, suit, whatever I think appears to be powerful. And half the time, there's not a lot of work. There's not a lot, because these become workarounds. And if you want to play the power game, number one, you're going to have to go through something, and then you're going to have to play the long game. The reason why I was content with not having a whole bunch of stuff that I could have gotten to early, right? I call small minds early kings. All right. All I wanted was ruling and dominance. Maybe I was hurt as a kid. Maybe I was the type of person that didn't feel like I got respected enough because of what I deserve. I had all good grades. So I just jumped to the front of the line. I'm smart. I'm going to put myself in a position of power so I don't have to hear anything from you anymore. Right. Could be literally dealing with trauma. That somebody could have hurt you, whatever the thing is, right? And now to avoid being picked on, now to avoid whatever, I'm going to go make myself a manager. I'm going to go make myself a business owner. I'm going to go make myself whatever. And you do it fast. You don't consult God, right? You may not even be in the realm or field you need to be in. Maybe, right? Because I decided to play the perception game. And what these people don't understand is, especially to spiritual people, perception is not power. You can take on all of the trappings of a leader and not have the real essence of one. You can take on all of the trappings of real wealth, health, prosperity, whatever the thing is, and be a baby. Right? I'm saying in God's eyes. Because the thing was, I need to get around. So I'm just going to play the perception game. Okay. That's a whole nother thing. Small minds make what is an issue of connection an issue of control. Let me say right here really quickly, growth is messy. Okay? There's no way, let me say this really quickly. There's no way you can grow. I can grow somebody without touching them. I believe it's actually scientifically proven that a newborn baby that comes into this world that's isolated to him or herself and is not coddled, is not touched physically by parental figures, things like that, just in the development stages will literally physically block growth and development. You all can go look that up. I'm almost 1,000% sure that that's facts. Okay. Will literally stunt your growth. So because small minds play the perception game, they stay at a distance. They look at scriptures like, and say stuff like, well, to me, God is sitting high and looking low. So, I need to take up that position with people and they can't touch me and all these things, right? Or whatever the situation is. But true biblical essence is you have a God who from the beginning was always drawing near, who was always walking with people in the garden, who was always, but because here's how the Bible states it, as humanity became enemies of God, where? In our own minds. We'll talk about this in a second too. Because we became enemies of God in our own minds, we felt the pain, begin to live a life of separation. But it was never God's intention. It was never, he's always been the one that's drawn close to us. Okay. Even in salvation, the idea is Christ is saying, like, if you love me, my commands, things like that, and maybe you can give me the exact, because it's not at the forefront of my mind, the exact phrasing, but this is not verbatim. I and my Father will make our abode with you. We'll come to live in you. So this is not a sit high, look low situation, as much as people are trying to model that in their own businesses and things like that. All right. There's no growth without connection. Okay. And so what happens a lot of times is now we start getting into practices to where, see, the tactic changes when there's no connection. Now I got to control. How do I control? From a distance. You ever want to control the minds of people that are vulnerable, gullible, by the way? How do you do that? You give them something, take cues from Jezebel. All right. You give them something that they don't know and can't see. You can scare people straight all day. This is why people use God all the time, to scare others straight, to control. This is why COVID was so effective. Give people what they don't know and what they can't see. Can literally control how many ever people are gullible enough to be controlled. Okay. I can make you reconsider your whole life by talking to you of something that I don't even know, that I've probably just created a painting of, picture of, even myself. So why am I saying that concerning something people don't know and can't see? Small minds start becoming very detached because it's easier to control with what people don't truly know. So that way I can play the perception game. Listen, Wizard of Oz, small man behind the big curtain.
behind the big voice. It's all, listen, these are patterns. I don't know why people are acting like this is unique. It's the same. It's been the same since, eternity past. All right. Satan, who is a liar from the beginning, that walks around as a roaring lion, not a roaring lion, as one. What is that? Perception. Why do you start gathering jewels and stuff like that in heaven? All right. I'm going to elevate myself. I already told you, or we already discussed, promotion only comes from God. No, I'm going to go around God. Let me just start getting a bunch of jewels. All right. Let me lift myself up. Perception game. Distance game. It's the same thing. So I refuse connection now because I rather control. What's the easiest way to control? Give people something they don't know and they can't see. So when I refuse to allow you to see me, this is why leaders who are playing the small game refuse to be vulnerable. They don't want you to see them. I'm letting you know, Bryan, I can see you. Too easy. How am I telling the world about you if I can't see you? You didn't tell me. What course online is this? I can see. But that's because I'm spiritual. Okay. So this is where we'll outline it a little bit later. Okay. But the problem with that controlling, attitude, right? Control from a distance is Jezebel's game. It's a whole thing. I'm going to make y'all a god. So to control you with, I'm going to make my own prophets. By the way, which is what a false prophet is. But listen, people gotta, if you don't know, stop telling it. Okay. False had nothing to do, false prophet has nothing to do with, if a person made a mistake or something like that. It's who are you representing that makes you false. Bible says that if there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will show myself to him. Who are you representing? Revelation says that the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. Who are you representing? I talk for no man, me personally, other than the man himself. That's what makes a person false. You can be fake too. That's like a whole nother category. Who are you representing? That's why the Bible talks about false Christs and false prophets. False prophets are normally connected to a false Christ. Somebody that's taking up the job of Christ, right? But they're a false representation. And they'll attach a false prophet to themselves to promote them, not God. That's what a false Christ is. That's what a false prophet is. Okay. All right. The control game. Okay. It's very likened to witchcraft. It's very likened to, that's all it is, right? You control people from a distance. You hide in the back and change people's perception of who's around and stuff like that. Oh, you better watch that one because It's the distance game. You have no interest in helping people to change. You just control. You manipulate from the back room. Okay. Controlling, witchcraft, small spirit. It's how it goes. Don't talk to, you talk at. There's public humiliation, all these things, right? Why? In order to control. Stuff doesn't work on me, by the way. Never will. Because I'm above it. All right. We're above it. Spiritual. Okay. Small minds make what is an issue of truth an issue of tactic or training. Maybe some of you say it to yourself this way: training. I'm training the people. So this is going to be a heavy one. All right. So now I start using things like human wisdom in order to accomplish particular things. All right. When I'm teaching a perception-based truth, I'm teaching people how to be. Let me go back actually 1 second to the control thing. By the way, and hear me, I mean this in a specific definition. Okay, we're not talking about teach women to be domestic, as in taking care of the home or anything like that. But domestication is not a spiritual practice. Domesticating people, making them turn into poor wimps of humans, right? Not able to withstand anything because of the domination that's in their life. It's not a spiritual practice. Okay. It's witchy. When people don't have control, they don't trust anything about themselves. They don't have any confidence that's built up over time. Being able to relax in who they are, things like that. Always uptight, always people pleasing, need approval, things like that. Okay. The game of control is not about, and by the way, let me go back and say this. Remember, I started this off by saying God wants to release and promote a lot of you. So I'm not demonizing anybody. What I know is a lot of you are doing this by pattern, not by heart. Your teachers, your trainers, you don't realize that you haven't been following laws of anything spiritual. You've been following the 48 laws of power, which I knew was a terrible book. When you see that my spirit was never even drawn to something like that. I never even wanted to read it. But then even just looking at it, glancing, once you see that the first law of power is never outshine the master. Let me ask you this. Whose mind are you taking on? Does that sound like a king or a slave? What am I saying? Some of you have been learning from slaves. Now, don't upset the boss now. You might just poke his insecurity and he kick you out. Is the boss your source, or is God? God gonna take care of me regardless. Never outshine the master. This is human wisdom. It's not spiritual. Human wisdom is in the soul realm. Okay. It's not spiritual. So again, this is not accusation, as in you have a bad heart. Trust me, if you can listen to this and hear this, you will be promoted. This is for your promotion, not against anything. I'm not against you. But trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding in all your ways. Some of our hearts are good, but the ways are bad. So until I get a new way, which is Christ is the way, by the way, you got to be spiritual. I'm telling you, there's no way else out of this. Never going around God. I don't assume positions. I don't play perception games and all this other stuff. I don't care how people perceive me. Has no effect on the power. Not when you're truly powerful. Not when you've been given grace by God to be power or powerful. Has nothing to do with how people see you. By the way, when Christ couldn't do miracles, it wasn't because he wasn't powerful. They didn't perceive him rightly, so it just stopped the power. He was powerful. You get what I'm saying? That's not the point. because his power was not in perception. They could not receive. It's a whole different deal. Okay. All right. So going back to, so again, actually, let me button that up. It ain't the 48 laws of power. We talking about real power. That's perception. Who else would tell you never outshine the master but a slave? Who else would tell you keep people dependent upon you? Make people do the work, but take the credit. Again, I promise you, some of you have thought you've entered into. I'm sure Saul thought he was being spiritual, but you ain't following the any spiritual guidance. Just the 48 laws. You're in there somewhere. Anyway, but we're getting spiritual. I'm promoting you. Why? God has given me keys, but that's a whole nother conversation. Okay. All right. Small minds make what is an issue of truth an issue of tactic or training. Okay. So rather than, I'm sorry, last thing, I got to go back one more time. When you're in the business of control, that's the issue. That's the business of subduing souls, not saving them. That's why I said domestication in the way of like training animals to be subdued. That's how I'm using the word domestication. Is not a spiritual practice. I'm supposed to be setting you free. Whom the Son sets free is free indeed. All business leaders, you need to promote people, not subdue them. Free them, not subdue them. Again, what laws are we actually going by? 48 laws? Or are we being spiritual in our practice? Some of you need to go look up the 48 laws of power so you can know you are never spiritual. A slave taught you, not a king, not the king of kings. Okay. And we just took it as wisdom. It was like, oh, that's such a great man. He has results. They got money. They got whatever. No, you're not spiritual. Not yet. Okay. But we're going there. And we are going to be by the end of this. So truth as a tactic. So number one, truth is a source. Okay. Truth is not a side, right? Which side of the table you sit on? Truth is a source. Okay. There's only one place. There's only one truth. There's only one place truth can come from because there's only one source. Okay. Only one God, things like that. Okay. Follow that line of tracking. There's only one truth. What happens is when I start using truth as a tactic, I can put my name on an organizational chart as head leader, head master, and something like that. And even if God hasn't called me to that particular thing, right? And I'm saying, even for you business owners, this ain't just a spiritual conversation in a sense of saying religious. That's why I'm using all of this spiritual language, even in business. Brother, if you're not a CEO of whatever corp, stop trying to be one. Because man's delegation or promotion is not particularly God's cosign. This is how some of you get in offices. Again, this is how you can work yourself up to the top office and then end up throwing yourself out the window. Because you're doing things that you weren't graced for. So just because the org chart says I'm Master Chief CEO Officer, this doesn't mean God co-signed that for your life. What is your purpose? Until you are actually spiritual, all your truth is just going to be tactic. Okay, so you may be telling me a truth according to what you want to accomplish. I want people to look at me highly. So I'm going to make myself whatever. I'm going to put my name on this org chart as this so that people have to respect me intrinsically because they know to respect President so-and-so. They're already trained to do that. It's an issue of training. It's an issue of tactic. It's not a real truth if that ain't what God called you to do. So in order to get in your place, you got to stop looking at truth as tactic. Well, it's true because it's on the paper. I mean, we filed the paperwork with the government. Yeah, but see, when you're spiritual, I'm gonna look at you and be like, that may be true on paper, it ain't true in the spirit. I literally have the ability to do that. I can see. Okay. So you start following this line of tactics, and it teaches approval, acceptance, things like that. Now this is why I gotta start sucking up in order to get to certain places and stuff like that, because even the method should tell you that it ain't true. The method by which I am trying to be promoted, if it's all of this like degrading things I have to do to myself in order to get there, it ain't nothing true about that. It's false. You can put a pin on somebody that says, again, Master Chief of this and that. It does not spiritually make that person designated as whatever the title is. Prophet this, president this, or whatever the thing is. And that's not a shot against the current president, by the way, at all. So when you're using truth as a tactic, yeah, you're technically telling me something true, but it ain't the truth. True, yeah, it's on the org chart. That's a truth. In heaven, that ain't true. I want to tell y'all some stories I'm going to tell you in a second. But I want to button up this first half. I don't have time to go through everything I want to. Okay, but you'll never be effective. This is why, let's wrap this all the way back around to the idea of deservingness and development. You got to have the capacity for a particular thing. Okay, so you need to be developed for a particular thing. You're not just getting married and you're not developed for marriage. I don't care how deserving you may feel like you are, how much good stuff you feel like you've done, how much abstaining or whatever. If I'm not a wife, if I'm not a husband, which is a developmental issue, you ain't getting married. Not to nobody good anyway. You understand what I'm saying? It's an issue of development. I got to have the temperament. I got to have the patience. I got to have particular things. By the way, don't take what I'm saying too far, because some of those things you don't get until you're in it. Sometimes the process makes you. Okay. But that's another conversation. But you need to be developed for the particular thing. Okay. All right. That's all I have time to cover this first half. But we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to start giving you keys to elevation, keys to capacity, keys to, which is something I titled a time ago, but keys to elevation. Promotion is what that really is. Okay. The God type of promotion. Again, you have to become spiritual. You got to get off the ground. We have to stop entertaining people. And by faith, entering into, by faith, pleasing God. Okay. But all that has to do with is becoming spiritual. I do want to say one more thing. I'll teach you something very quickly. This is, like one of the master secrets, right? But the soul. A lot of us have elevated ourselves. So humans have the ability, let's say it that way, to be animalistic in nature. Okay. So this kind of goes against something I was talking about in the last presentation, not the ghost, but what was the one before that? Control. So not ghost town, but control. How I was talking about, there's about 5 things in between how I feel and what I do. Okay. this goes against that. But if you take things out of how you, or out from in between how you feel in any moment and what you do, we take on an animalistic nature, animal-like. I just felt like the dog walked by and I couldn't control myself, and I just start because I had nothing in between how I felt. You know, there was no, in that case, you know, master, there was no pet owner or something like that to stand in between what I felt. Okay. So humans become animalistic in nature when there's nothing, when we always are doing what we feel like doing. Okay. So a lot of you are way away from that. So you've come off of the ground in your mind, right? You actually may consider yourself being spiritual, but you're still on the ground, but just in the soul realm. There's a big confusion, I think, a lot of times, and I'm saying this very quickly, so don't take this as a masterclass or anything like that. But like as of late, you know, you kind of start seeing every now and then the magician come across, you know, if you're on your social media timeline and things like that. And, you know, not only are they doing magic tricks, but we have mind reading as a part of this thing. And so you'll see somebody say this loud in your head, or tell me what's your pet's name. OK, just focus on it. Focus on it. Focus on it. Jimmy. Oh my God. You know, people are like having heart attacks, about to jump out their skin because someone read their mind, right? You think that was a spiritual practice because it's not ground level. I don't even know if I should be teaching this, to be very honest with you. This is too much secret. Okay. You even heard the idea of certain people that would appropriately call themselves witches and stuff like that, right? Or people calling themselves mediums, things like that. Most of you don't know that there's a soul-to-soul transaction that can come across as spirituality. Not to say, I don't know why I opened this up, not to say that you shouldn't consider certain soul transactions as spiritual, but what I'm saying is there are people who have mastered soul to soul transactions, okay, that are not particularly or necessarily even, according to what I'm quoting to be spiritual, actually spiritual. All right. If I saw the soul as an intermediary agent, you wonder why people call themselves mediums. I speak to, sorry to bring this up, man. I'm like, man, I done brought myself too deep. Okay. But somebody that's even talking to the dead, medium, that's a soul to soul transaction. What a lot of you have not realized is that even in your climbing to be business successes and things like that, the reason why control and domination, why would I even use the word witchcraft and things like that when all I'm trying to do is subdue souls? It's not a spiritual practice because it's still not yet off the ground. It's still part of the perception game, but it's in that intermediary space. My judgment is not clouded, or it's not as, well, number one, I'm spiritual, but see, it doesn't scare me as much to see some of the soul to soul transactions that happen, even when it comes down to the mind reading and things like that, because number one, I recognize why do you have to say it loud in your mind? If you are spiritual, see, Bible says it this way. The spirit of the prophet is subject to the prophet. Okay. There's higher levels. I'm trying to get you off the ground. That's the only point I'm making. The reason why some of you get off the ground in terms of your ability to self-discipline and stuff like that and still end up being witchy is because you're still not spiritual. I'm just saying there's higher realms. I'm going to tell one story real quick. real quick, and then we're going to break. I need to, again, whet your appetite for a higher realm. I don't want you can't think like, oh, I've learned how to, hey, so-and-so, say your name loud in your head. And now you're like, I'm the most whatever. I promise you, I don't have to tell you to do anything like that. Because a soul-to-soul transaction, you can still you can get around God to do a soul-to-soul transaction. Anybody can learn that level of mind reading or something like that. I know this sounds real. I told you it wasn't going to be spooky. Maybe now we're getting a little spooky to some of you, but it's only because I just don't want you to confuse what I'm saying or what I'm quoting to be spirituality as soul-to-soul transactions, because that's where many of us have stopped. I'm a master at life now. I learned how to control people. I learned how to whatever. I learned the psychology behind how people move and the wisdom of man that says like, well, if you really want to make somebody do this, never apologize to them. You can't bring yourself low as a leader. We're always right. Soul to soul transactions. You're subduing souls. Never look like you need help. Because then people won't ever see you, perceive you in the right light. Never be vulnerable. None of that is spiritual or biblical for you Christians practice. Where's that biblical? Okay. This is man's wisdom. You're still in the soul realm. That's the whole point I'm getting to. Climb higher. When we come back, I'll give you some keys for elevation. Amen. All right.
Hey, if you're enjoying the masterclass thus far, I have a couple things that I'm willing to bet that you'll enjoy either just as much or even more. The first of those things is Wisdom for Days. It's my new book, and it is a compilation of 306 quotes that I've put together over years of experiences that are personal to me, that I know will help you out in your everyday life. Listen, it's just a great book. I highly recommend it to you. I want you to get it. You can get it at becomingallthatweare.com. Also, while you're there, pick up my book, A New Home. Go to the website. You can see all the details about it. It's a book that I've geared towards leaders that really will help you if you're feeling like you don't fit in life, as if you stand out in some type of way that you may not want to, but you just can't help it. This is all about how to get rid of your need to fit in and really stand out and be the person that you were created to be. The third thing that I want to tell you about is my podcast, Living the Dream. It is an Iexist podcast that I developed a few years ago that has tons and loads of great information, wisdom, insight. I gear it towards the people who need the reality of living the dream. I know that talking about the dream is one thing, but to live it is an entirely different thing. And if you want insight in what it's like to actually live a dream, that is the podcast for you. Go pick these things up. Go listen to these things. They'll continue to help you on your journey to progression, to freedom.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
Welcome to an Iexist Masterclass.
Sinatra's song My Way, I Did It My Way, should be his theme song forever because he did it his way. He didn't wait for anybody to tell him how to do it. He did it his way.
Why you worry about me? Why you worry about me? Worry about me. this, whatever I say. Yeah.
You say there's really no way to win. You say the pressure's too much giving. You should just hold your breath, cause I say I'll do this my way. Can't understand why you're worried about me. Made up my mind that I would be free. So just keep that to yourself, cause I say I'll do this my way.
Hello. They like, B, why you all in this rap-ish? I'm starting to feel like you capping. I'm starting to feel like you acting. I'm starting to feel I'm being catfished through touchy subjects and ad-libs. Are you a preacher, man? Or a lyricist? Cause I don't really know if this hat fits. I'm like, wow, that's how you feel. I guess I just keep it all to myself. Won't no opinions. I don't need your help. But since you asked, let me share this wealth. Pay attention. Thing is, I'm both full of wisdom, full of wealth, full of God, still a earth shell. Ain't into sorcery, but I break spells. Learn to bring heaven, cause I've been through hell. And to trust funds, but I don't trust well. I'm a businessman and I'm God's man. Got a nurse brand and I dress well. I'm a lamb dressed in wolf's clothes. I'm a lion dressed in a man's robe. Dealt a bad hand, but I don't ever fold. I'm a high priest with no church clothes. Look, no cap. So you really mad cause I don't do what you do? Man. Think I'm a fool cause I don't choose what you choose. Still living well while I break all the rules. Looks like you might have this whole thing confused. Y'all hypocrites are like 9 people, but when it come to hats, I can't wear a few. Stop playing.
You say there's really no way to win. You say the pressure's too much giving. You should just hold your breath, cause I say I'll do this my way. Can't understand why you're worried about me. Made up my mind that I would be free. So just keep that to yourself, cause I say I'll do this my way.
Yeah. Say it's about what I say. It's about what I say.
Hey, if you're enjoying the masterclass thus far, I have a couple things that I'm willing to bet that you'll enjoy either just as much or even more. The first of those things is Wisdom for Days. It's my new book, and it is a compilation of 306 quotes that I've put together over years of experiences that are personal to me, that I know will help you out in your everyday life. Listen, it's just a great book. I highly recommend it to you. I want you to get it. You can get it at becomingallthatweare.com. Also, while you're there, pick up my book, A New Home. Go to the website. You can see all the details about it. It's a book that I've geared towards leaders that really will help you if you're feeling like you don't fit in life, as if you stand out in some type of way that you may not want to, but you just can't help it. This is all about how to get rid of your need to fit in and really stand out and be the person that you were created to be. The third thing that I want to tell you about is my podcast, Living the Dream. It is an Iexist podcast that I developed a few years ago that has tons and loads of great information, wisdom, insight. I gear it towards the people who need the reality of living the dream. I know that talking about the dream is one thing, but to live it is an entirely different thing. And if you want insight in what it's like to actually live a dream, that is the podcast for you. Go pick these things up. Go listen to these things. They'll continue to help you on your journey to progression, to freedom.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
Welcome to an Iexist Masterclass.
Hopping round, you was glad cause it's your birthday. Till your mom called and said your birthday was her worst day. Even with the drama, you can still make it the best day. Cause it's the best day, yeah. Baby, it's your birthday and it's the best day. It went the worst way, then let it fade away. Let it fade away, cause it's the best day, yeah. It's your birthday.
It's gonna be the very best day of your life. It's gonna be, yeah. Do you believe it? It's gonna be the very best day of your life.
Yeah. You was picking out your fit, plan to decorate your crib. You was about to get it lit, I know, yeah. You was changing out the codes, deleting all them. You was writing down your goals, I know, hey. You plan to turn it up tonight, when alright. Then wake up to a better life, you still got time to make this right. Yes, I know, yes, I know, yes, I know, yes, I know.
It's gonna be, it's gonna be, oh.
You was jetting round, you was glad cause it's your birthday. Till the pilot called and said your bag won't be at baggage claim. Even with the drama, you can still make it the best day. Cause it's the best day, yeah. Baby, it's your birthday and it's the best day. It went the worst way, then let it fade away. Let it fade away, cause it's the best day, yeah. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy, yeah, yeah. You've been dreaming about the day when you was 26 years old. You was bold, hard to go, you was always touching road. Always paying for the folks, never broke. Day before, heart was so fly, 25, still working at the store. But get it, girl, cause you was born with it.
Thank you all. All right. I'm back. All right. So I'm going to try to do a lightning round. I'm full. I really haven't even given everything probably I ain't even gonna say needed to, but again, I told you it's why we have the nation and, you know, where we can ask questions and things like that. I do want to promote that. By saying that if you are looking for a coaching opportunity, community, I thought everything through. I designed this model for you, whether you're busy, whether you're on the road to becoming busy through your promotion, right? Being faithful over a few things and then being elevated to ruler or master of much, then we've made this system, this structure for you to be able to walk you from dream to execution to completion. Okay. It's really a dream manifestation tool that I have in the nation. And I just want to promote that to you so that you'll know. Again, you can go to becomingallthatweare.com/the nation. I'm certain to get more information. And then also you'll have your opportunity to sign up there. Also, I forgot to recognize the new birthday song that we attached to this. Man, I meant to say it before the actual break. If you missed it, go back and listen to it. All right. Because I made that song not necessarily intentionally for this, but I thought this would be a great time to introduce the song, because for all of you who are being promoted today, who can listen, who can take in, who can apply what you're being told today, listen, baby, it's your birthday. All right. Let this be a birthday of sorts into your promotion, into your elevation. All right. So, and I think that'll be the first song after the first commercial break, and that mid commercial break, that 10-minute break that we have there. All right. So it's your birthday. All right. I'm going to do a lightning speed round. I'm going to give you about 7, 8, 9 possibly things that, or keys rather, to promotion. All right. Let's jump straight into it so this can actually be lightning in our speed, especially compared to how I normally am. All right. Awareness. Promotion by awareness. Now you can put a slash in there. This won't be one of those fancy lists where all of the beginning letters are A's or whatever, because I don't know, even if all of them were A's, I don't know if you would still remember 8 or 9 things. All right. But promotion by awareness, think the idea, or slash revelation. Okay. You're already there if you're truly tuned in and can hear what I'm saying. What am I doing? I'm making you aware of the state that you were in. Again, to God, Saul thought small. When he was knocked off his high horse, he began the process of thinking big. Now I'm reforming, I'm reshaping you. But he had to be brought to himself. He needed to know where he was in terms of his life, what God thought about that, what he was actually doing in God's eyes, right? He was in the soul realm. Okay. He was in the people pleasing realm or phase of his life, and he needed to be redone. He needed to be born again. Some of you take some of the true essence of these words out. All right. You're confessing Jesus, and then that's all. You're not actually sometimes being reborn. In what way? In your ways. It should change how we approach and do anything. Okay. So number one, I need to be aware. That's the first version of spiritual promotion. Some of you can go through life for extended periods of time, not really being aware of the patterns that are in your life, not really being fully aware, again, of where you are, what you've actually been doing. And I say this a lot, probably privately, or when I'm coaching or teaching or something like that. But like, you don't need to be aware of what you're doing alone. You need to be aware of what God is calling what you're doing. Because to you, it might be training. To him, it might be witchcraft. Working soul roots, all right, or something like that. But until I come to myself in that, until I'm made aware of what the pattern I've been initiated in, how do I know I'm being taught by slaves? Call back to never upset the master or whatever, right? Until I'm taught that. How do I? So this, even in and of itself, this structure, this time is a part of your awareness. If I go biblical for a second, you have to understand, this is why a lot of people don't realize. They're like, well, how in the world did you live literally like hell and end up being promoted? I'll give you a for instance, the prodigal son. Okay. That's what some people title the story. It's understandable. All right. But the solution to the whole problem is right in the title. If you skip past the title, you miss the revelation of the whole thing, right? Regardless of how he lived, he was the prodigal son. So he lived like hell. Okay. He lived a hellish life is what I'm saying. Then right behind that ended up getting promoted. This messes with a lot of the perception game ideology, because this is again where the jealousy, where all the things start happening, where people are like, why in the world do you get promoted? And I didn't see you do anything good. You went and I was in the house and I did everything Dad said, and whatever the situation. Why? Because his promotion was not in his doing bad. It was in his revelation, his awareness. This is exactly why the Bible says, and he came to himself. What was the self-realization? What am I doing out here? I'm a son. The servants are living better than I am out here. He came to himself. He woke up, and God promoted him straight off of the awareness of what his sonship. Who but a son realizes they can go home? Can anybody just walk in your house? Can anybody just have the thought one day, I'm going to go to Bryan's house because I just feel like it, or whatever? Or do I need to be a son to have that realization? Yeah, he was brought to his knees. He fell off his own pride horse and things like that. All right. Unfortunately, I guess. But the point is, he was elevated above all the goody to do earth. Right? Because whether it was through mess or not, he had a revelation. He had an understanding. And God don't care how you get to the understanding. Just get to it. It's how you can be promoted after making a mess of your own life or whatever the situation is. I'm not telling you to make a mess of your life. I have to say these things. Don't go intentionally make a mess of your life. I said awareness was the promotion, not the mess. So however I get there, if you can listen, if you can hear, I'm bridging you over into awareness right now. I'm telling you, you're a son. Don't go through his mess, understand his mess, and then say, you know what? I'm a son. I can go home. I have somebody I can acknowledge all of my ways to. And that way I can be directed in my paths. But regardless, that's awareness, revelation. Okay. Job ended up coming to himself. Okay. Same situation. He's like, man, I was dealing with things way above my pay grade. I realized I was haughty. I realized I don't know what I thought I knew. Okay. God promoted him through awareness, revelation of who he was, of who God was primarily. Okay. I can use Jacob's whole situation. I called this place one thing. Now I see the gate of heaven is open over it. You get what I'm saying? He had an awareness is what I'm saying. He had a revelation. Okay. So promotion by awareness, revelation. I don't want to talk. I told you I'm going to try to go lightning fast. You need to know you can come to revelation, to awareness, even by hearing. You can. I'm not saying you necessarily have to go through mess. All right. Number 2, promotion by suffering. Here's where a lot of people don't want to go. But I told you, never allow anything, any presentation I'm making, any coaching I'm doing for you. I'm never coaching you into comfortability. If so, I'm doing you a disservice. How, we talked last time about people not being outside, not doing the work they should, especially from a spiritual standpoint. If you're not, you've been probably coached into comfortability. All right. This life, the spiritual life, is not a comfortable one. I wanted a couple more people in the room because I wanted to tell some stories again. I just maybe consider it a hangover from the ghost story situation. Right. I need proof in the room. So suffering, promotion by suffering. Christ says it this way. If you suffer with me, you'll reign with me. I read it earlier, right? Paul said, I gave up all of this comfortable life. I was paid. I was, by the way, I don't, and again, don't cloud your judgment about what I'm saying. I'm not coming against anybody. If you're hearing that tone or something like that, not once, I didn't call you stupid, nothing like that. Just understand what I'm saying. I'm making you aware of spiritual realities, things like that. Okay. So I'm helping actually. Okay. I told you this is for the promoted. This is for who God is promoting, right? You're going from Saul to Paul. One name you would have never heard, another name, all's going to hear for eternity, probably. Because that's how God rolls. Okay. His name was bigger than anything he could have ever accomplished on his own because God made his name great. As soon as he started allowing God to make his name, he gave him a name and then he made his name. And that was greater than he probably ever realized it would be. Okay. So if you suffer with me, you'll reign with me. Paul was saying earlier, after coming to himself, after having his high horse fall, having a moment of revelation, and then also giving up his past life, right? All the things that he took credit for, all of his own ideas about what was great that would make him be perceived greatly in others' eyes. Okay. He was doing it for perception. He was playing a perception game. Notice also that he was never, when you start seeing stuff like apostles or people wanting to get in their shadow so they could be healed, or sending quote, quote, anointed or prayed for, this better, more accurate terminology, cloths to people that they would be healed in receiving, right? And touching. Why didn't you see any of that before? He changed his affection. Before, all he had to brag about was the learning and all this stuff. I read it. Okay. Now he started becoming affectionate about spiritual things. Similar suffering is how you get promoted. It's a key of promotion. If you suffer with me, you will reign with me. I'm going to give you a very practical thing. I hope there's nobody, I'm being very honest with you, that would think, see, this is why even ideas like marriage need to be taught rightly today. Because if you waiting on the sideline for somebody to make it, and then you're like, I was always interested in you. I used to have the biggest crush. Now that you're a superstar, listen, I hope nobody thinks that even with me, you don't have to suffer with me to quote, quote, reign with me. When we suffering to build, when we're suffering to come through on particular things, business wise, because there's a lot of suffering involved, right? We ain't talking about necessarily health issues or whatever, but whether it's on the side of persecution, whether it's on the side of growing pains. Paul says, I beat my body into discipline. Sounds comfortable, right? Suffering. The type of things he did, I almost said something that was going to take me into another point, but I'm not going to. Okay. There was suffering entailed, sacrifice that he had to make to become the person that we all know as Paul. Okay. So if you suffer with me, you'll reign with me. There's another verse that talks about that after you have suffered for a while, God will, restore, confirm, and establish you. Okay? I'll confirm, restore, or I'll restore, confirm, and establish you. After you've suffered, you gotta suffer. So most people don't realize, you know, we were talking about off camera, like this idea that in order for, let's say, even the devil's practices to work, there has to be a truth in it. He doesn't have any tools or any truth to use. I'm just gonna actually twist the actual truth. Therefore, it remains a power that's a part of it because I'm using the actual truth, but I need to twist it to get my way with the actual truth, okay? Or get my will, my personal will done through the truth. This is why, again, to be spiritual is to be above the mind games, the soul to soul transactions. That's why it'll never work on me as an individual, not vulnerable, not any of that type of stuff. Because I can see in both, I'm spiritual also. Okay. Never work. I'm above it. But here's why I'm saying that to you, because by twisting the truth, you can actually get some type of result. I don't know why people don't realize, well, let me pace myself. I'm going to progressively get to what I want to say. I'm sorry. After you've suffered a while, okay, so you gotta, so let's go here. Actually, I'm going to go back. I'm going to use what I was just about to say. So there's a lot of conversation about, let me ask you this. How in the world does somebody who is an individual, a, you know, thinker, a person that is, again, just highly individualized, go to, let's say, the army with people you don't know, a bunch of individuals, right? And you can go to the army as one and come back a family. There's certain heights, there's certain levels, even of relationship, that can only be borne by similar suffering. This is why Jesus tells the disciples, at first I called you servants, but now I call you friends. What happened over time is called similar suffering. They suffered with him. You know that there's elevation through your similar suffering. This is why Paul is admitting to you that I left all those things to go suffer with Christ, because that's a key to reigning. So there's a lot of twisted ideas out here that formulates brotherhoods today. A lot of people are like, well, I don't even understand how, you know, I mean, if there's so many wicked ideas, there's so many wicked people that may involve themselves, and it's not all, by the way, right? But there's people that involve themselves in like crazy, like hazing rituals and all these things or whatever. Well, the twisted truth that's in it, that is that if I make you suffer together, I will form a bond. You're not going to give up your bond as easily to a brother that you just went to war with, that you just suffered with. And we're not talking about anything super crazy, right? But if I just made you stand outside in the rain for 14 days in a row and all this other stuff, and you did it with the guys or whatever the thing is, and I tied a rock around your neck and made you like whatever the thing is, if I abused you together, there's a bond that's being formed that can come no other way. So imagine what happens when you suffer with God. There's something being formed. You're going to be elevated. That's all I want to tell you. I don't want to get too deep in that because maybe we'll talk about that idea a little bit later. Similar suffering. Elevation by suffering. Elevation, number 3, by love. Okay. Love, this is real easy. It's the only thing that will make you sacrifice yourself. on others' behalf. There is no true godly elevation without godly sacrifice. This is where you start being able to prefer others over yourself. A man will hardly die for his own brother. What type of man is this that would die for the world, die for people who even hate him? That self-sacrificial nature will explode you in the spirit to heights spiritually. When you talk about dealing with God, and I'm explaining all these things to some of you because you have to realize, like I keep saying, that soul realm stuff, it's you're learning how to deal with man. But it is completely different. It's not spirituality. To deal with God is a whole different thing. And one thing that is going to take is self-sacrifice. It is, because he's looking for himself. Similar suffering. You want to reign with me? You got to suffer with me. I went out here and sacrificed my whole self. I came down and made myself a human, number one, which is already like taking yourself from all knowing to having to learn obedience. How? By what he went through, what he suffered. Okay. I'm going to teach like on faith one day. And one thing that I'm going to talk about is how, like, I don't think you realize how much faith God had to have in humanity to birth himself as vulnerable as a baby. And sure, we can say faith in himself too, right? You come to earth in the most vulnerable form, where there's witches and warlocks and like people that want you to die and crude leaders and all these things, and trust that you're going to save humanity. What faith? Okay. So sacrifice, it's the only thing that will make you prefer others above yourself or put yourself in harm's way. Success favors the bold. And if you're going to be bold, be bold in this way. Would you actually put yourself in harm's way for another? See, self-sacrifice is different in the spirit. Most people, again, because you're operating in the soulish realm, all you're doing is for the sake of self-preservation, not self-sacrifice. And I'm saying literally put yourself, your name, yourself in harm's way on behalf of someone else, to be associated with people that you know you're going to get dog for. Most people not willing to do that. I'm telling you, because you're not spiritual. You're playing the perception game. So I got to keep my associations a particular thing. I can't go around these people. I can never be seen with this person. I can never. And this is why I'm saying even earlier, you're confusing what can only come from connection for what you think you can gain through control. I've already said this. Growth is messy. You can't be untouchable and growth oriented at the same time. I've already said this before, like, growth and control can't cohabitate. So either I'm growing you or I'm fully dominating or controlling you. Okay. Most of the time within that perception game, we're confusing control for, just power or something like that. It displays my power. Hey, watch how I can tell so-and-so whatever. And it's a spectacle, right? Not realizing that there's no way for me to grow somebody that way. Because if people are only blindly obedient, what I mean by that is, I don't mean blindness in the sense of physically blind. I mean blindness as in, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I haven't calculated anything. Like, I don't have any understanding behind what I'm doing because nobody takes the time to teach it to me. They just tell me. Telling and teaching are two different things. Train up a child in the way he or she should go. Okay. Training and telling are not the same thing. One of them is your hands got to get messy. You got to get dirty. You got to get in to it with your children, right? Through the mess in their minds, debilitating thoughts that they may believe about themselves, situations that they may not want to talk to you about, that they're going through, whatever the situation is. It gets messy when it comes down to actual growth. And my thing is, if you may not be the leader that's particularly prone or drawn to those type of things, you need to have someone within that you can trust within your organization that maybe you can delegate a certain amount of that piece to, with oversight, all that other stuff. Okay. But anyway, you need that. Putting yourself in harm's way. It only, and this is love still, it only comes by way of God. This is why I'm saying you have to be spiritual. You got to love God, which is the same thing as loving all of his children actively. By the way, that's why people say love is a verb. Also, but here's the key piece. It only comes from God. How do you know, John? What does it mean to love God? It's that he first loved us. What number is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4, humility. The heavenly idea is receive, not achieve. Okay. That doesn't mean you will never achieve anything. What I'm saying is you'll only achieve what you receive, what you first receive. Okay. Be holy, for I am holy. The idea is that I got to receive. I don't have my own. Even Paul said it earlier. I don't have. And that's why I'm glad I read the Amplified version, right? I don't have my own righteousness. I don't have my own deservingness of anything. I didn't accomplish deservingness by withholding myself from doing something or by doing anything. I didn't do to deserve. Okay. He gave it to me because I'm his. The only righteousness I have comes from God. The only deservingness I have comes from God. This is a spiritual way of being. I don't have my own anything. Once many of you actually come into truth in general concerning anything, you're going to start to realize it's nothing. Everything outside of God is false. God is love. So that's how he can define what it is, even in just his being. Okay. Humility. I receive. Again, in all of your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. What does that mean? Ask. Don't go around God. Don't go around his people. We have this treasure in earthen vessels. Okay. Most of the time you're going to ask him. I had a friend told me a long time ago, this is maybe a little bit of a cliche, but he said something to the degree of every time you pray, God sends a person. I hope some of you know that when you pray or if you pray to him and ask for a particular thing and he sends you a person, I hope you know the person knows. I won't say that this is all the time or 90% of the time. I'm not going to put a percentage on it, but I know. I hope you know that the person knows when you prayed. Okay. You have, Peter, who is praying on the roof, falls into a trance. Hey, go to these people's houses or whatever. How in the world are Gentiles receiving the Holy Spirit type of thing? I had to get the little bit of a culturism out of you before you go talk to these people, a little racism out of you before you go talk to these people, because these are not people you would normally associate yourself with. Don't you realize everything I've cleaned is absolutely clean or whatever? So go talk to these people. He had to inform the person about you before he got there, right? He told Peter exactly where he was going. I'm sorry, this is elevated conscious conversation, right? I told you I'm for the mature. So if you hear me, I'm sorry if you don't know a whole bunch of scriptures, but I'm conceptually giving you these principles by way of some of these verses that I'm and stories that I'm telling that are from the Bible. But I've never been somewhere where I know I was an answer to someone's prayer, even if they didn't know I was the answer. But I've never been there, gone there, and God not notified me that I was the answer to their prayer. Whether you reject it or not, I know, because this is how it works. So what am I saying? Humility, the ability to ask God for sure. Who in the world doesn't? I don't know. Again, all of this pretending stuff that we don't need help. I'll be the first one to admit it. If you don't, as leaders or whoever, I need help. This ain't hard. Like, you need people. If I was a visionary, then they say it this way. A leader who has no, I'm gonna just call it congregants right now, right? I don't want to say followers, but we can say that. It's only a man taking a walk. Okay? You need people. Again, all of this like pretending surface level perception game stuff where you're like, I don't need help. I don't need whatever. Who you fooling? Not me. Okay? Ask. Humility. Don't turn down what God sends. Now, if he answer you, why are you getting mad at the answer? Listen, and I've said this before privately. The times that I don't know that I've ever thought I needed what God knew I needed. I've just got real good at receiving whatever he sends. I don't know that I've ever looked at myself and said, I need help for a particular thing. God sends an answer. And then I've just been so happy about, not to say that's never occurred, but plenty of times I'm like, I didn't even know I needed this in the first place, but I know you answered me because after sitting in this a while through the pain of it and everything, this is exactly what I needed. So you don't gotta like what he sends. You just need enough humility to receive it. God is real. He's not fake. You know what I mean? You don't got to pretend with God. He know when you don't like what he said and all this other stuff. And I'm telling you, you don't got to like it. But you got to be humble enough to receive it. Okay. I don't know that I want to go too far on that. But again, you got to stop with all the games of pretending. And what's one of those other laws of power? Make people come to you and all this other stuff. It's weird. It works, but it ain't spiritual. It's domination. Okay. Wisdom, number 5. Now, I'm saying wisdom specifically because you need a God type of wisdom, not the world's wisdom. People confuse why Solomon was. Now, here's the question, right? Even if I wanted to argue that, well, Solomon couldn't ask for money because he was born with it. Right? So it makes sense that he would ask for something else. I'm going to be very honest with you. The status of wealth and renown that he was brought to by, here's the real answer, valuing the things of God over the things of this world. That's the real reason he was blessed like that. Okay. He got it early. He placed value on spiritual things. He knew, that was already wisdom when he was being asked to place value on the internal game. That's the real reason. Because I'm going to explain this to you too. The idea is, well, maybe, you wouldn't ask for money if you had some. Number one, when has that ever been true? Number two, how much, even if I was a millionaire, do you know how much it would take for me to make that into billions? Now, tens of dollars to $1 million is a feat. But even if I was given $1 million at birth, and I'm sure he had way more, but follow the point principally, right? Even if I was given $1 million, I don't know if people realize it would still take a whole lot. You got to have some wisdom. You got to have some internal things to make $1 million a billion. I don't think people know how far $1 million from $1 billion is. It's way far. You could make $5,000 a day for probably, I think, 6.5 months. That's how long it would take you to be a millionaire, right? $5,000 a day for about 6.5 months. To make $1 billion, you would have to make $5,000 a day for about 542 years, something like that. There's a big difference. So the idea biblically is to be fruitful and to multiply, right? You need wisdom to multiply. If you were born fruitful, you still need wisdom to multiply. He knew to value the right things. How he knew is grace in and of itself. If you ask me, who knows how he knew? But he was brought up. I believe he was taught that. I believe it was the ways of his father. God, whatever you do, don't let your presence depart from me. It was the ways of his father. I answered myself. He knew the ways of his father, and he valued God the way his father did. So he was blessed immaculately. Now somebody's going to argue with me. Well, why did he let other gods enter? This was all, wisdom isn't good or bad, by the way. It was wisdom. But anyway, so you need God's wisdom, okay? Man's wisdom is manipulating the mind. I'm going to teach you 5 tricks to make people service you and view you like this and all this other stuff. I'll give one more example in Ruth, right? Money, marriage, or relationships are always the most potent. Probably they're the easiest to talk about. But let's look at Ruth and Naomi. Okay. And I'm bringing this up because I was talking to a friend of mine about how sometimes I'm like, where are the mothers at? Where are they? Where have they gone? Right? Because there's a little bit of lacking when it comes down to the emotional regularity and the wisdom needed for, marital status and stuff like that. Don't hear me as bashing. I'm not bashing any woman right now. Okay. I'm not man explaining woman's behavior or something like that. That's what I asked, where the mother's at. Okay. But let me say this as a father internally. Let me say this as a father. What happens is, and as a husband, let me say this. Let me show you wisdom in one thing. Hey, Ruth, you want Boaz? Go lay with him. Don't get in the bed. Lay at his feet. Man's wisdom says, trap him. I'm going to lay with him, but I'm going to lay in his bed. Don't lay in the bed. Don't lay with him. Lay at his feet. What's the wisdom that's there? You had a mother, and I'm saying from a spiritual standpoint, teaching somebody not how to move the flesh, but to move the heart. That takes wisdom. I'm going to be super honest with you. This is one of them clippable real moments. I can't speak for, I guess, every man, but listen to how I say this. I've said this plenty of times. A man does not marry for sex. All right. Now, I said a man first. Let's say that. I didn't say a boy or something like that. Okay. Why am I saying that? And again, I'm not even going to try to say I'm speaking for every guy. But here's what I'm saying. There's an option somewhere. If you just wanted to sow some wild oats or something like that, you can go somewhere. So if I want to deal with anybody with any type of real presence, any type of real effectiveness, again, let's just call that an actual man today. Wisdom is what teaches me how to not just move the flesh, but to move the heart. Okay? You do not want to be locked into a situation where all that's being moved with a person is their flesh. It ain't going to be good. It's going to be hard to sustain a marriage on flesh movement alone. Okay? That's wisdom. I've said this before. I've played the piano for a while. And I've even said this too, in the realm of moving flesh when it comes down to music. I'm a producer. We just did a song and earlier in the presentation. All right. But I tell people often, sometimes you can listen to a certain dispensation of music and you can watch a certain dispensation of movies, right? Because there's always like this pendulum swinging. And for a while we'll do very good. And then you'll start moving into a lack of spiritual, emotional potency. And what'll happen is it's like, and I tell people this, even from the music realm, there's a difference. I know how to cooperate with God. There's a difference between moving people, especially when you're talking about worship and stuff like that, and powerful instrumentation, powerful presentation. You know, there's the singers that is like you just start crying. You don't even know why you crying. It's like you forgot half the words. You don't even quite know what they're saying. You can listen to them in another language and you're like, why am I crying right now? It's a difference between moving the flesh to make gyration happen and then to move the soul or move God even. Okay? In worship or whatever the thing is, you know, there's different sects of music, right? And so, but knowing how to, there's an old, probably, I don't know. It's like one of those late night infomercial type preachers. Like you grow up or you traveling and you in a hotel and you wake up in the middle of the night and then you hear the voice of this like evangelist or something like that. Someone probably woke up on some years ago, who I used to probably wake up on often, defined wisdom this way, or excuse me, gave wisdom this attribute. Wisdom discerns difference. Okay. Wisdom, truthfully, is a discernment agent, but that's a whole nother conversation. Okay. But the godly type of wisdom helps you discern difference. Let's go back to the whole thing before in learning how to move the heart rather than the flesh. Okay. And I'm just saying this, please receive this as from a father or something like that. Okay. Because we're talking about relational health right now, but this can go to business and everything else. Please use wisdom that comes from God to discern your difference. All of your value is in your difference in this world. But what the perception game does is compete. Okay. Now, see what the perception game does is constantly kill others. It's not power. I said this in my book. If I have to kill a king in order to be king, I was never king. Right? Your domination even over other people. Oh, I'm better than so and so. I don't know why y'all like this person, or I don't know why you go to that person's business. Our toilet paper is the best. All right? If you have to kill a king in order to be king, you are never king. You shouldn't have any excuses, that have you selling products that people don't want and all this other stuff, and then blaming the people, and they just don't want, your product because your products is actually from God and it's the best and all this other stuff, and people just don't have an appetite. All of that stuff it's not king behavior. Okay. Make a good product. Period. Okay. But wisdom discerns difference. How can you make a good product? You need to start discerning your difference. All right. Even from male to female, whatever the situation is. Relationally speaking, you don't compete with a guy. Discern your difference, right? If I got to live a rugged life, a guy want to come lay on something soft at the end of a hard day. You understand what I'm saying? Like if the job was rough and all this other stuff, discern your difference. There's no reason to compete. You win because of your difference. Okay. But some of this stuff only comes from a godly wisdom. Okay. Simple. Number, what am I on? 1, 2, 3, 6. Faith. Elevation by faith. That was elevation by wisdom, elevation by faith. This is just do the work. Okay. That's it. This is simple. You don't believe if there's no proof of your belief. How do I know you believe? Because you actually stepped out and did it. There's an old preacher story that I like to tell sometimes where there's a guy, Jesus is what are those things called? Like the tightrope is about the tightrope across the Grand Canyon on a unicycle. Okay. And a crowd gathers who are all fans of Jesus. Right. And they're like, hey, we believe in you. You can do it. You can do it. Jesus is like, y'all believe I can do this? Yes, we believe you can do this. We believe. And he's like, are you sure you believe? Yes, we believe. Points out a single individual. Hey, do you believe I can do this? Yes, of course, Lord. Of course, Master. I believe you can do this, right? You can do anything. Are you sure you believe? Yes, I believe. Okay, come get on my back as I do it. Now we've really separated those who actually believe. And so this is the difference between a fan and a follower. Okay. But I'm saying to you, even in business, don't play the perception game. Go actually get it. You're saying you believe you can be the best, the top tier organizational, structural consultant in the world or something like that. I've never said that, but I'm just saying some of you may say that or whatever. If you're saying you want to be the top toilet tissue, whatever, okay, that's cool. I'm glad you believe that, but where's the work that shows it forth? You understand? Faith without works is dead. Faith, you gotta work it out. You can't sit around, okay? You gotta actually believe. How do I know you actually believe? It's by your work that is that precedes the belief. That's an extension from the belief. That's faith by elevation by faith. Thank you. Number 7, elevation by service. This one's so simple. Okay. Anyone that wants to be the greatest must become servant of all. Never lose your servant status. Here's the problem with the perception game. I'm starting to take titles and stuff like that so I can be served and not serve. When true elevation, promotion, when it comes from God, is you don't stop serving. You just do it at a higher level. Okay. First, I only serve one person. Now I get to serve thousands, but I'm still a servant in that way. Service. Here's another question I often ask people. If I wanted to learn from a king, right? If I wanted to know his or her, or know royalty's ways, his or her ways, what's the easiest way for me to get amongst kings? Should I go try to find out a profession, go create a separate profession than what I'm doing right now, work myself into, $1 billion success so I can impress them and they invite me? Or, an easy way to get into a king's atmosphere, serve the table, bring a glass. I truly believe this. Everything that I'm supposed to become, everything that I've needed to gain from, I never had to. And I'm telling you, and it's probably because I don't come from wealth and all these things or whatever. The way for me to get it, because I didn't have $18,000 at 12 to go give some coach to teach me the ways of the masters. Everything God wanted to produce in me, he made me go serve. If service is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you. If service is beneath you, then the dream is beyond you. You'll never get to it. Okay. Service is a spiritual act. Again, what's the easiest way to get to the table? I don't have $1 million, but I want to learn from so-and-so. I want to go serve so-and-so. I promise you they looking for the help. And then be good help. Don't be someone that they have to complain about, worry about, all those things, right? None of us are perfect, but do good. I guarantee you'll get more out of a person that way than you know. You might even get more out of them than a paying customer. You understand? Because the indebtedness, the gratitude, things like that will come. What I'm giving you is wisdom. All right. But the key is service. Get low. The more you're willing to serve, it actually promotes growth in your own life. It's elevation in and of itself. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't have known business-wise, business structure-wise, and things like that had I not served some of the people I've had the opportunity to. Okay. Service is a great asset to your life. Listen, how do you end up being a stupid leader? Try to jump the line. Try to jump up there without serving. Try to get around God's elevation process. I don't want to serve because it's mean people out here. Yeah. But if you serve somebody mean, at least you know how not to be one. Hello. I didn't just learn what to do. I've learned what not to do in many cases. By what vein? Through what key? Service. Serve. It's a free way of elevation. I'm telling you, you don't got to pay the coaches, fee necessarily or whatever. Like, serve. You'll get a doctorate degree in certain things through service alone. Okay. Number 8, honor. Elevation by way of honor. This is a good one. Okay. I'll tell a couple stories here. I wanted a couple people in the room, like I told you. If I'm lying at any point and you've known me, there's a presence of at least a 15-year knowledge of me. There's a presence of probably at least a 31 year, something like that, knowledge of me. Right now, if I'm lying, I'm telling you, interrupt me and say, Bryan, it ain't quite how I went. You're exaggerating anything. Okay. Not trying to put a disruptiveness in the room, but at least, there's some accountability. All right. Honor. Here's the idea. Let's look at that word, first of all, just as a genuine and high amount of respect. That's it. Now, when you create systems that are dedicated to the perception game, here's a pattern, because all small minds think alike, that you always see. You have honor, but it only goes up. That's it. Let me give you a small example of this so we can keep the lightning round going. If my birthday is the only birthday everybody knows in my organization, I'm doing it wrong. Honor is a code for life itself. I should be honorable in every direction, right? To leaders, to brothers, to subordinates, right? So that's boss, that's coworkers, that's people that work under me if I'm in management or something like that. Why are there no systems of honor in a lot of people's atmospheres that doesn't just go up? If all the systems for the opportunity for honor, which is high respect, placing high value on other people's lives, are only going up, I'm not doing it right. Now I'm playing the perception game. I don't know how to honor anybody else but myself, or to be honored. It's a problem. So how I want to tell you about this super quickly is this. I've learned, okay, this is why the Bible will tell you, be careful to entertain strangers, because you never know when you're entertaining an angel unaware. Okay. What's the key phrase for honor? You don't know. You have no clue who it is that you're honoring when you have the opportunity to honor. Okay. We're not talking about somebody that has, through their actions and everything else, have proven to be people who cannot accept honor. Okay. That are not honorable, meaning unable to be honored. Okay. But you need to consistently keep a roundabout idea in your mind that I should honor every presence in my life. You don't realize that God could give you a key through a kid when you don't have honor as a true principle. You don't realize that you may be entertaining, whether, let's say, messengers, right? People sent to you to be a messenger in your life, but actual angels. You may be entertaining angels actually when you will honor and reverence people enough to spend time with them. I want to tell one or two quick stories. I've learned to be very aware of my surroundings. How many times, I can ask my own wife this, have we come to the knowledge that we were, or that I was at the time, entertaining physical angels, let's say by way of just being honorable to people in general. Here's the problem, and I'm bringing this spiritual for a reason. Here's the problem. You think God gonna send an angel to you that's in magnificent light and all white hair and suit and all these things like that. You know, you could get a drunkard angel and I mean disguised as. You know, you could get somebody that's homeless. You know, you could get somebody. I'm telling you, for real, the amount of times I have come to become aware that I was entertaining an actual, sometimes, and I hate to, you know, I'm getting more comfortable with this whole explanation of spiritual things, okay? Because people start questioning your sanity and whether or not you're having an epileptic episode when you start talking like this, okay? But I have my mind. But I'm just spiritual. How many times, and I'm asking you, to be a voice of this to a certain degree. I learned to start noticing this type of presence as a child. It's always been around, and some of you are actually entertaining angels unaware, right? But the problem is, if you don't have any honor, imagine the dissatisfaction that can come even from a spiritual or from God, to know that a literal angel that might be disguised as a drunkard, might be disguised as a homeless person, might be disguised as some person that just wanders into your place of business or something like that, that you were rude to them, that you were whatever. I have a petty part of me. I'm sorry. And I'm this is part of my elevation too. I'm changing it. I really do like to see how people treat people that they think they don't need, or that they think are nobody, by way of maybe some physical attribute or something like that. It's been a petty part of me. So I will not disclose certain information. I have been this way in the past, and it hurts you long term, probably. But the pettiness of me just trying to figure out who is who, or how people like to deal, will overtake my sensibility sometimes. Okay. But what am I saying to you? I'm being real with you. God can be that way. He can send you somebody that you would disregard, and he often does it. This is why the unlikely always, or has become, the heroes repeatedly. This ain't about just God's satisfaction of what he can do through somebody's life. It's about your heart too. The kid I bullied, now I work for, or some stuff like that, right? Or whatever the thing is. So I need to learn to honor everybody. You never know. Again, I won't tell too many stories, but I learned real early, long story short, because I told you this would be lightning, how to notice when there might have been, or not might have been, when there was an angel that was presenting himself as in a way that most people would disregard. Okay. Actually, okay. Happened numerous times. I could tell you stories. I'll save it for another time. Last one. Elevation through honesty. This one's going to be very simple, and I'll tell you a story behind this also. By the way, it's getting dark earlier now, so I mean, this is an extra long presentation, but yeah, it's a winter time. Around this time, it's getting dark earlier and stuff like that, so excuse the lighting. Elevation through honesty. Number one, I said this earlier. I know you're calling what you're doing something, or I know you're calling what you're in something, but what does God call it? Okay. You need to know, you got to be spiritual for things to truly be defined in your life. So if I'm in a terrible relationship and I'm calling it love, but God is calling it a trap, guess what elevation is going to come through? The honesty, by way of the awareness. When I actually am spiritual and go to God and say, hey, what is this? I want to call this love. I'm obsessed, but what is this really? And then it becomes a situation where he's like, no, that's a trap. Okay. I got to call it what he's calling it. Let me give you another version of this. If I'm putting myself in the seat of a CEO, and he's like, no, you're just a high level, or you need to be in the COO position or something like that. That's not what you really are. That's not what I've really called you to. I need to start being real honest with myself about who I am in order to be placed properly, because even if it's just across the hall, it's an elevation for me to be doing what fulfills me as an individual instead of what just makes me money. Okay, so let's make money and be fulfilled at the same time. But I got to be honest about who I am. I need to involve my maker in my life to actually figure out what exactly that is. So you need to be asking God, like, who is it that I am? Because I need to be calling situations. I need to be calling myself. Who are you, Jeremiah? Before I placed in you in your mother's womb, I called you, ordained you to be a prophet. This, that. The idea is now I need to be walking according to what he's called me. Okay. I'm not saying, please don't go too far with this. I'm not saying that at a certain point in your life, especially if we're talking about spiritual giftings, that's not the point. I'm just talking principally. All right. So I'm not saying if he said, you know, you're a prophet, that don't mean you got to go work at, especially if you're coming up from nothing. You don't got to go work at Walmart tomorrow or something like that until you gain a grasp of life or something like that. I'm not saying silly things like that. Some of this is just, but ultimately, all I'm saying to you is that honesty starts with what God calls something, okay, including you yourself. Elevation by honesty. Let's look at it another way. If you're telling yourself you're a diseased degenerate or whatever, and God says you're fearfully and wonderfully made, you need to start being, again, truth comes from God. I am the truth. So if this is what he's calling you or whatever, which is all his children, then why are you calling yourself something else? You don't realize it, but you're having an honesty issue. If you're calling yourself something the devil would call you, you're having an honesty issue. If you are going into the own recesses of your mind to figure out what you are, and you're probably calling yourself something God is not calling you, it's a lie. All right. What's the devil's issue? He's the father of lies. So I got to be honest. What does God call it? What does he call my situation? What does he call me? Here's another aspect of it. People say it this way, classically: God can't heal what you don't reveal. Okay. All right. So don't get like a fake it till you make it attitude as, indication of I can just be whatever I want to be and all these things. You need to be in alignment with, again, not only what he's calling you, but here's the issue when it comes down to the whole attitude that can come from you not being honest with yourself about what it is that you want, things like that, how it is that you're feeling. God is not somebody that you cannot be honest with. The issue is not that we don't bring the right things to God all the time. The problem is that we don't know that we can bring everything to him. Everything. I always say this. God cannot co-sign inauthenticity. Some people wonder why he's not with you like he may be with others or something like that. Listen, I'm going to be very honest with you. It's easy for me to be honest to the world around me, even in things that most people probably think they shouldn't be honest about. Hey, man, you can tell your wife this, but don't tell her this. Don't ever. You can tell your friend this, but don't tell him this. You can write this in a book, but don't write that. How can you be so purely honest? Because I know, number one, there's no lie and there's no, no secrecy in the spirit. If I wish some of you knew what spiritual sight actually looked like. I wish you knew. A lot of you would stop hiding and playing the perception game anyway, because everything is bare in the spirit. There's no secrecy. One of the lessons I got in marriage when I was first exploring the ideas of it, I remember God telling me this, the Lord telling me this. Listen, whatever secrets there are, view them as walls in a relationship. You want the best relationship? Be bare naked in a relationship. Think about it this way. In the beginning, right? You have this Adam and Eve situation. They were naked and unashamed. That's the reality of the spirit world anyway. Everything is bare. Your thoughts, your intentions, what you may perceive or think are secret thoughts and all these things. I was talking offline about why people hate prophets and things like that is because I don't need your permission to know. People want you to believe what they're putting out there, but I can see you. And that means that's a spiritual quality. And I don't need your permission to see you. That becomes the problem. So now it's like we have this uncontrollable figure. Now we want to kill him. Same way they did Jesus and all prophets and all this other stuff of the past. Right. What's the issue? People don't like because we like perception games. More times than not, people have run because you can actually see them. Y'all want to go get therapy from somebody who can't see you so you can only present part of your problems or whatever or what. So you still want to come out on top a little bit or whatever. It's hard for people to actually get bare. But as soon as you learn how to do that, your issues can actually be solved. So what do I mean? If my issues can be solved, I can be elevated in certain areas because I'm actually honest. I'm vulnerable about it. Let me tell you one thing, and I'm going to jump off of here because it's been an exceeding long time. Okay. One point, actually, I do want to say, going back to honor. The problem is, again, because a lot of you have not been spiritual, you have no clue who to honor. So what's the resolve? Just honor everybody. Right. But here's the point I wanted to make. And I talked about not knowing birthdays. Here's the problem. Every leader that presents him or herself to act like I don't need people to run with my vision. It's an insane idea. OK, write the vision, make it plain that they may run. It's two distinct. You got writers and you got runners. Now, people that think they don't need a visionary are also wrong. OK, if God want to plant a vision in the world, he's going to plant it through somebody. We have this treasure in earthen vessels. So, yeah, as a people, you need vision, which is always going to come through a visionary. OK, so honor has to be there. But then also visionary writers, you got to honor the runners because without one another, it doesn't work. Writers and runners, there's honor on either side. OK, you got to have systems of honor. Last thing for the honesty thing, I'll just tell you a brief story about myself. I'll tell you where I've needed to see honesty a little bit differently in my life. I told you I've been the type of person. This is petty, right? In certain predicaments, it is to where I'm like, it's two things. I used to mistake my gifting and my even spiritual gifting for something I thought everybody could see. OK, it's a problem. It's a mistake. This is like how women think that a husband should read their minds. Like he should just know. No, know your difference. You're the intuitive one. OK, you ever wonder why you never heard of a warlock hunt? Because women are the intuitive ones. Spirituality actually probably comes a little bit more naturally. All right. And that's why you see churches a lot of times filled with women and not so many men. We're the logic. OK, I'm a logic my way out of going to church. All right. But anyway, here's my point. So that was a problem. Also, I didn't see a lack of being fully who I am as an integrity issue or honesty issue. Y'all have to understand, I never wanted to pay the cost for doing what I'm doing. Never. I'm being honest. OK, so there's times I'll tell you this story real quick. I took a job some years ago. Right. It was in a particular religious organization. I told you I used to do music in all types of forms or whatever. I produce. That's my main love. But I've played piano and stuff like that. So wasn't going how I thought it would. I probably skipped over some advice from the wife that I should have taken and stuff like that. And, you know, I did some things or whatever, put myself in certain positions. And I remember it not going so well. And I'm like, God, why in the world? Like, what is this? Why is this not working? All these things. And I'll tell you how to lose a relationship. I'll tell you how to live, because some of you think that because something doesn't work out, it wasn't God sent. It's not true. But were you dealing in honesty? Okay, here's another thing. So I'm on a particular job in a particular role. I'm like, God, what is this? You know, because I'm going to my maker to figure out what's going on. I'll never forget. He said to me, Bryan, it's not your boss. Let's use I told you it was a religious, so let's say let's say pastor. That's not your pastor, Bryan. That is your partner. So think, I have to say this today for whatever reason, business partner, etc. Okay. Partner in business, partner in production. Okay. The truth is, by taking the role I had, I played myself too low. There was some bad stuff that happened. Believe me, you get what I'm saying? Like, but this ain't the blame game. This is honesty. That was a mishandling on my end of the relationship. You gotta be fully who you are in every situation. Some of y'all are in the wrong relationships today. Y'all are in the wrong jobs and all this other stuff because you are not bearing fully who you are. It took a long time for me to get to the point where I'm like fully bearing. There's certain stuff I wouldn't call myself until probably last year that I know I am, even from the spirit. And me telling y'all how much I see and stuff like that, I've been being dealt with by God since a jit, since a kid. All right. But I know the cost that comes with it. I know the ideas of, again, like I said, or is you having an epileptic episode? I could tell you stories. There's so many of you that are like, I want to be, women are like, I want to marry a man of God. Until you, listen, I'm going to tell another real quick story. Listen, I put out something called A New Home. It was a visual monologue. And on it, you see me laying on top of a table and I'm having like I guess, which visually could look like a come to Jesus moment. Really, that was a copy of an actual real life event. I was coming around. I was going somewhere to pray some years ago that I learned to pray because of a mother to me that taught me some things. So I was going to pray. I was coming around a particular corner. When I'm coming around the corner, I literally heard and felt the words, I'm going to kill you in front of your wife. Okay. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what's about to happen, but I'm going to keep going to this location. I go there. I end up literally laying on top of a table in crying in pouring down rain. Deetra's telling me like, we gotta go, get up, we gotta go. Eventually park ranger comes around to say, hey man, we're about to close up or whatever. I get off the table. I'm thinking I'm finna get eaten by a bear, something stupid, something real crazy. Right. I leave that situation. We told nobody. Listen to what I'm saying. We told nobody. I go and find a mother of mine, right? We just visit a house. Soon as I go in there, spirit comes on this lady. She says, Bryan, I'm seeing you come around a corner to go do blah, 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 whatever, to pray. She's like, I'm seeing you coming around a corner and I'm looking at Satan meeting you on this corner. Did not listen. We didn't even tell the woman where we were going or anything like that. You have to understand. I've been being dealt with for a long time. By the way, you're going to have a hard time scaring me. I don't even know why people try all these intimidation games and stuff like that. I'm telling you the truth. Okay. That's why I got accountability around me right now. Okay. But what am I saying? Paying the cost for this stuff. I never wanted it. So to be able to tell you certain stories and all these things, what I'm saying is, listen, I had a job at JCPenney. I was cool. I was cool being asked to be on the sales lead team or something like that because I was so eloquent and able to convince people and things like that. All right. But I That was my part of messing up that relationship. I wasn't fully. So some of you think dishonesty has to do with pitching yourself to be more than what you are. But do you know if you're pitching yourself to be less than what you are, that's an integrity or an honesty issue. You can ruin relationships. Some of you have married your secretary. The situation was right. You asked for help. God sent you some help. But that was your secretary. You done married that. And then you got your wife in the secretary position because you're messing up. You're not being honest about what it is that you want. Some of you, he can't send you the right people because you're not honest about what you really want. He's not going to step in until you're honest. Okay. That's all I got. As you know, go listen to the song, subscribe to the nation. I got way more. Listen, I'm just opening up. All right. Elevation is yours. If you can listen, hear me. Elevation is yours. All right. As you know, it is my desire that you would prosper. And as a conglomerate, we're hoping for your elevation in Jesus' name. All right. Until next time.
We hope you enjoyed our experience. If you would like to gain access to more in-depth teachings such as this one, a host of other products and services, or the opportunity to partner with others who are becoming all that they are, join our exclusive membership community. Join the nation, the Iexist Nation. All the info you need can be found in the description of this video. Until next time.
Hopping around, you was glad cause it's your birthday. Till your mom called and said your birthday was her worst day. Even with the drama, you can still make it the best day. Cause it's the best day, yeah. Baby, it's your birthday and it's the best day. It went the worst way, but let that fade away. Let that fade away, cause it's the best day. Yeah, it's your birthday.
It's gonna be the very best day of your life. It's gonna be, yeah. Do you believe it? It's gonna be the very best day of your life.
Yeah. You was picking out your fit, planning to decorate your crib. You was about to get it lit, I know, yeah. You was changing out the codes, deleting all them. You was writing down your goals, I know, hey. You plan to turn it up tonight, well alright. Then wake up to a better life. You still got time to make this right. Yes I know, yes I know, yes I know, yes I know.
It's gonna be the day it's gonna be. It's gonna be. Oh,
You was jetting round, you was glad cause it's your birthday. Till the pilot called and said your bag won't be at baggage claim. Even with the drama, you can still make it the best day. Cause it's the best day, yeah. Baby, it's your birthday and it's the best day. It went the worst way, but let that fade away. Let that fade away, cause it's the best day. Yeah, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, You've been dreaming about the day when you was 26 years old. You was bold, hard to go, you was always touching road. Always paying for the folks, never broke. Day before, heart was so fly, 25 still working at the store. But get it girl, cause you was born with it. He gave you the world, just gotta have fun in it. Get it, man, hey. He gave you the world, just gotta have fun in it.
it's gonna be the very best day.
was driving round, you was glad 'cause it's your birthday. Till your boss called and said your birthday was a word day. Even with the drama, you can still make it look, 'cause it's the best day, yeah. Baby, it's your birthday and it's the best day.